What's up, guys, and welcome to my review for Aladdin. This is the live-action retelling of the animated classic, which I do have my review up on this channel now for that film, so if you want to check that out, feel free to do so. And this film stars Mina Massoud as Aladdin, Naomi Scott plays Jasmine, and Will Smith is taking on the role of the genie. I was very skeptical about going into this movie. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. The trailers, it was a hit and miss for me. The clips they put out, it was a hit and miss for me. But then I started hearing some positive things coming out of this movie, and I went and saw it with an open mind, and I'll tell you what, I liked this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. I am definitely on that positive side of the coin for this one. I thought that it was a fun, entertaining ride. I think Guy Ritchie's style doesn't overshadow the story and overshadow the film, even though he does have a few moments in the film where you can kind of tell that's a Guy Ritchie-ism. But I was okay with it, and I thought it worked in the moment, in the scene, that whatever was happening without giving anything away. And honestly, one of my biggest fears about this was Will Smith as the genie. Not necessarily his performance, but the way it looks. Because in the teaser, it did not look the greatest. But if you see the movie and you see everything in context, it actually really works, and I actually started really warming up to it and getting really used to it. And I think Will Smith was actually fantastic in this movie, and I think he stole the show. And I think that he was definitely paying tribute to what Robin Williams had done in the animated film, but at the same time giving it his own kind of quirky humor, and I really was into it. And I would watch this movie again just for him alone. I thought that he was fantastic in what they decided to do with his character. I really enjoyed some new, fresh kind of stuff, and I was really into it, and I thought it really worked. I thought Mina Massoud was good as Aladdin. I don't think that they really did anything to overwrite or underwrite his character. I thought he was pretty much the same as he was in the animated film. But Naomi Scott as Jasmine, she was probably my second favorite character of this movie. What they did with her character and what they added to her character, I was totally into it, and I actually really loved the choices with her character. She's probably the best written character of the whole film. I actually really enjoyed the new musical number that they gave her, the new song. Speaking of songs, the music was great. I think the score by Alan Menken, you know, he comes to play again, obviously, as expected. You know, the score is great. You hear all those great themes in this again with some new stuff, which I really enjoyed. And the songs also were really good, but I think a majority of the musical numbers were just good, where I think one of them was really great. And I think my favorite number of the film is Friend Like Me. I think Will Smith really pulls it off, and that, I think, is the best musical number of the movie. When I saw Beauty and the Beast, the live-action version, I think all of those musical numbers were great. So it was hard to choose which one was my favorite. But in this, I think Friend Like Me distinctly stands above all the other ones, which I did think were good. Marwan Kenzari plays Jafar in this, and that's another thing that I was kind of nervous about going in. His voice, you know, it definitely doesn't sound like the original animated character's voice, Jonathan Freeman's voice. So going into this, I was a little nervous for that also. But honestly, I really like what they did with Jafar in this movie. I think that his character, you know, he's a little younger, and he's just this con artist. You know, he's the same character, but he's just, you know, he's younger, and he's cunning, and he's everything you want Jafar to be. And I was totally into that, and I think he did a fine job in the movie. I think his character sort of takes a pause in the second act. So, you know, they really didn't know what to do with him in the second act of this movie. I feel like in the animated film, he has a more sort of, his character flows from beginning to end, and he never really stops. His story and motivations never really stop the whole way through. This, they do take a few certain things out without giving anything away, which does lead the second act for his character to sort of take a pause. But in the third act and the first act, I really like what was going on with him. But speaking of acts, I do think the first act of this film is probably where I do have problems with this movie most. I think the first act of the movie is a little wonky. It is entertaining, but it is extremely rushed at points, where I kind of wish that they would have maybe cut a scene out of the middle of the film to add more to the beginning of the film, the first act, to maybe flesh it out more and make it not as rushed. The musical number, One Jump Ahead, might be my least favorite musical number of the whole film. They do sort of make some changes with that, and in that scene itself, it does seem like they kind of fast-forwarded the scene we're watching. It's hard to explain. If you watch it, it seems like the characters are moving faster than they should be, and it's kind of unnatural, but the song is moving at the regular pace. So I don't know if they were singing it, when they were singing it live, they were singing it too slow, so they had to speed up the footage. I'm not entirely sure what was going on there, but it was kind of noticeable. And also the effects in this movie, they're not great, but they're fine, they're serviceable. Some of the effects are more noticeable than others. And also, one last thing I want to mention, we have this new handmaiden character to Jasmine, and she's played by Nazim Pedrad. And I actually really like this character. She's a fun, kind of quirky character, and I enjoyed what she kind of does in the movie and where that sort of escalates to and where it goes to, and the places that sort of goes. I was a fan of it. I thought she was a fun addition, so I did really like it. And at the end of the day, overall, I did really like Aladdin. More than I thought I was going to. The second act and the third act are definitely the strongest parts of this movie, even though there's a few kind of bits of strange humor, kind of forced humor. Not a lot of it, but here and there you see some kind of stuff that feels kind of strange. But other than that, I was a big fan of this movie, and I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. But guys, comment your thoughts in the comments. Do you plan on seeing Aladdin? Did you see it already? What are your thoughts about it? Were you pleased with it? Were you not pleased with it? Let me know in the comments. Also, guys, you can subscribe to this channel. My reviews for Booksmart, Brightburn, and Rocket Man are up on this channel right now. You can check those out. And a whole bunch of reviews coming in the future. I'm seeing The Secret Life of Pets 2 tomorrow night, so my review for that will be up tomorrow. Also, reviews for Ma and Godzilla King of the Monsters are coming. Very excited about those. Guys, you could also follow me on Patreon if you want to help this channel grow. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. The links to those are in the description of this video. And you could also follow me on Instagram at KingOfRises131. And guys, that's been it. Thank you very much for watching my review for Aladdin. Over and out.